All right, so first off, say all praise to Yahweh in the name of the Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of Holy Spirit. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, I want to say shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I am of that number. All right, so this is coming to you right on the heels of the video yesterday. So let's get back to this fair use statement and then on to the reading. All right. Fair use, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All rights and credit go directly to its rightful owners. No copyright infringement is intended. Okay, so we left off with this reading. Speaking of, well, I'll just get to the question and we'll read some more. Okay, so the question where we left off, it was even considering this hypothetically, how many steps would it, or even considering this hypothetically, okay, how many steps would it take a government, excuse me, even considering this hypothetically, how many steps would a government have to take to implement a mandatory implant? Man. All right, so I'll start from where we read this in the last video, but I'll read it again. It says, in a hypothetical scenario where a government sought to mandate subdermal microchip implants for its entire population, it would face a multi-stage process involving radical legislative, technological, and medical overhauls. As of January 2026, such a plan remains purely theoretical, as global trends are actively moving towards smartphone-based digital IDs and biometric software rather than physical implants. All right, so number one, legislative and legal overhaul. Actually, before we get started, let me read a prayer really quick. All right. We may be going to Psalm 147. Let me see. No, that's not it. Okay. Psalm. What's this one? All right. Psalm 140. Okay. The heading of this chapter being prayer for the protection against the wicked. All right. It says, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man. Or deliver me, O Yahweh Baal Shem Shai, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips. Selah. Keep me, O Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man, who have purpose to overthrow my goings. The proud have hid a snare for me, and cords they have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me. Selah. I said unto the Lord Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushai, thou art my power. Hear the voice of my supplications, O Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai. O Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai, the Lord, the strength of my salvation. Thou hast covered my head in the day of battle. Grant not, O Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai, the desires of the wicked. Further not his wicked device, lest they exalt themselves. Selah. As for the head of those that compass me about, let the mischief of their own lips cover them. Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast into the fire, into deep pits, that they rise not up again. Let not an evil speaker be established in the earth. Evil shall hunt the violent man to overthrow him. I know that the Lord Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai will maintain the cause of the afflicted and the right of the poor. Surely the righteous shall give thanks unto thy name. The upright shall dwell in thy presence. I just felt the need to go ahead and read that, man. So let's might read it again in the NLT after we get done doing some of this reading, okay? So, legislative and legal overhaul. All right, it says the government will first need to dismantle existing legal protections that currently forbid such actions. And please just look around you. All right, the Lord tells us to be circumspect. All right, see what's going on around you, man. Okay, it says repeal preemptive bans. In the U.S. alone, 14 states, including Indiana, Alabama, and Washington, have passed laws specifically prohibiting mandatory human micro-C-hipping. It says mandating an invasive medical procedure would likely violate fundamental rights to bodily integrity and privacy, such as those protected by the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights or the U.S. Constitution. I remember a while ago I had got into a conversation with a old friend of mine. It was back in around 2020. Okay, so you know what was going on around that time. So I had asked him, we came up together from the 4th grade on, right? But I had asked him at that time, what would he do if they had, forced that thing that was being mandated at that point. And he said that they wouldn't be able to do that because he has rights. And immediately, without even really thinking, it just immediately my mind shot to what's his name? Oh man, what is his name? Rodney King. I wanted to send him the video and remind him of the Rodney King thing and put underneath that what rights. You know what I mean? Okay? If you can understand. And I was just reading about constitutional and human rights challenges. All right, they think that the Constitution or whatever stops them from doing whatever they want to. That's what the people feel like. All right, but the people in power know that. All right, they don't need, or they can't be stopped. Okay, they don't need your approval really. All right, so employment law revisions. It says legislation would be required to allow employers to make implementation a condition of employment, a practice currently being banned across multiple jurisdictions. Again, Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. Okay. Paraphrasing. Okay, so it says technological infrastructure development. It says implementing a nationwide system would require a massive, excuse me, interoperable technical framework standardization. It says a universal CHIP, developing a universal CHIP standard similar to ISO standards for PET CHIPs to ensure every scanner in every bank, airport, or hospital can read the data. All right. Power and connectivity. It says current passive CHIPs, RFID or NFC, have no internal power and very short ranges. A mandatory tracking CHIP would require a miniaturized, long-lasting power source or battery and active broadcasting capability, technology that does not currently exist in a safe, injectable form. All right, my next thought right there was, wouldn't the human body be able to power these CHIPs? Anyway, centralized databases. It says creating and securing a massive national database to link unique CHIP IDs with personal, financial, and medical records. All right, so number 3, massive medication distribution. It says unlike digital apps, physical implants require a sterile medical grade rollout. Gaining health clinical approval, it says gaining health agency approval, like the FDA, for a device meant for long-term residency in the human body, which would involve decades of testing for risks like tissue migration, infection, or interference with medical equipment like MRIs. Now, they said involved decades of testing for risks. All right, but when 2020 happened, okay, they fast tracked that thing. They weren't worried about the years that it usually takes for testing, all right, before masses were injected with something. Okay, and I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice, but I'm just calling to your attention, all right, what they could say or do to get this thing fast tracked. So it says logistics of implantation, training and deploying thousands of medical professionals to perform hundreds of millions of minor surgical procedures. Hey, not too long ago, I seen tattoo shops were given the green light to give these micro CHIPs. I see home kits with these micro CHIP things in it. Okay, so what kind of medical professionals are they talking about to perform hundreds of millions? Okay, it could be easily sent in a home kit. All right, parents could do it or guardians could do it. All right. What I'm pointing out here too is this thing is acting oblivious to simple solutions that are already out there, because they have to answer in the way that their programmers want them to answer. Okay? So maintenance and removal. Establishing protocols for what happens when a CHIP fails, is hacked, or needs to be removed for medical or employment reasons. We talked about that when we in another video about this micro CHIP, specifically the one in the brain. All right, all these test subjects that are in the earth now. I mean, I think they say they have 2 or 3, but there's probably many more, far more than that. But one of the risks is what happens when that thing fails and the test period is over. Or what happens when they move on to another phase of technology. All right, and the doctors that were there to take care of you while that test was going on, what if they're pulled? All right, what about that? People don't consider this because they trust their enemy. All right. They don't know and don't understand that this man has been crafty ever since he got into power. Okay. Crafty, devious. All right. Undermining. All right. Let me check this time because I had a limited time on this. Okay. So number 4, overcoming public resistance. Historically, the transition to such technology follows a gradualism model rather than an immediate mandate. Talk about this too. As a matter of fact, this step, all right, well, not this step, but digital ID step could be a gradual step. All right, that might not work worldwide, but they're testing it for some reason. All right, but you have to pay attention to what we say this mark of the beast is. We were never saying that digital ID is the mark of the beast. All right, it is this micro CHIP. It is the RFID CHIP. It's not a digital ID on your phone. All right, that's not the mark of the beast. Okay, but it is a step that it is a gradual. It is a step that could be a gradual step to build the people up ready to be ready to accept it. All right. So overcoming public resistance. Historically, the transition to such technology follows a gradualism model rather than an immediate mandate. All right. Voluntary adoption. It says encouraging use through convenience. For example, contactless payments or keyless entry to build social acceptance. And I forgot to mention that at the beginning of, well, probably this whole series, but they're going to try to get you through convenience, peace, and safety. All right. I have to mention that because it just said here, it mentioned the word convenience, encouraging use through convenience. All right. Pretty soon they're going to tell you that it's safe. All right. At first they were saying it was non-invasive. All right. Trying to push how safe they say it's going to be, but it's not. All right. The scriptures tell you that it's going to cause grievous, what is that? Grievous sores. Let me find that really quick. I don't want to mess that up either. Revelation 14 and 10. All right, let's go here. Revelation 14, 9 and 10, it says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. In Revelation 16 verses 1 and 2, or wait, yeah, 16 verses 1 and 2, it says, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial, noisome, all right, and the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men and women, okay, and children, which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. All right, a grievous and noisome sore. All right, so regardless of what they tell you, it's going to cause injury to you. Says prophecy. Okay. So let me see what else we got here now. Okay, targeted mandates. It says implementing CHIPs first in high security sectors, such as the military or incarcerated populations, before moving to the general public. And that's something that they are going to do with the incarcerated populations. All right, cut your time in any way. Cut your time half. All right, you just have to be on the C hip. All right, who's going to turn it down? We've all heard horror stories of them places. Okay, all right. So we know, and we just asked a question about the military earlier. Of course, it shot that down, um, or lessened the idea of that type of thing going on. But military, all right, and incarcerated populations are going to be hit first, just like in 2020 was the medical field, um, before anybody else. I think. All right, I think so. Man, all right. Function creep. It says slowly expanding the CHIP's utility from a simple ID to a medical record, and eventually to a necessary tool for basic societal participation, the buying and selling. You put that in you, and you say that you can buy and sell it with this. If not, then if you don't receive it, then you won't be able to buy or sell. It's that simple. That could be the only step they take, and that's going to get a lot of people. Okay. You see, we are at a place where we are waiting on these things. The Lord has us ahead of the world and everybody else. All right. While Esau's still trying to figure out ways to plot, scheme. Okay. We already know what he's doing. All right. That's not because we are around him. That's not because we went to school to learn this. All right. This is a spirit. This is through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai that we understand these scriptures. All right. And he let us know who this man is. Okay. By giving us the power to listen, to read, to study, to trust in the men, all right, that have the mind of Yahweh Shai here on earth now. Pastors after the Lord's mind, all right, have the same mind. And in receiving this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, he has made Esau bare. But guess what? Most of the world is still blind. All right. This isn't for everyone. All right. This is a gift. Okay. As many videos that are put out, all right, as many of these readings are put out, even over and over, people still can't see it. And it is clear. All right. So let me check this time again. My bad. Let me see. Okay, I got a few more minutes. So the next question I asked, let's see if we can get through this. All right, maybe. Let's see. Okay, so I asked, are the things listed in the last reply under number 4, which mentioned overcoming public resistance, happening right now through different efforts? And if so, list some key examples. So what did they have here at number 4? Overcoming public resistance. All right. Getting people to voluntarily adopt this technology. All right. Targeting certain people for mandates, like the military or incarcerated populations. All right. Slowly expanding the CHIP's utility. All right. You're going to have your digital ID on there. You're going to have your health data on there. It's going to be your keys. It's going to act like a key fob. That's already going. All these things that we just mentioned there is already going on. Okay? What else? Hey, in the future, there's going to be another measurement on there. All right? Just maybe there will be a carbon footprint number over there or a social credit score on there. Okay? Expanding the CHIPS utility. All right? And if you think of a utility knife that has the corkscrew, the bottle opener, the blade, all right, a blade, a file, okay? Multiple utilities from one thing. That's what they say. They're slowly expanding, but we see it already playing out. All right, so again, all the things listed in 4 happening right now through different efforts, and if so, I wanted it to list some of those efforts. So it says, while there is no worldwide plan, and has to keep reminding us of this, has to keep reminding us that there's no worldwide plan. Anyway, it says, while there is no worldwide plan for mandatory implants, the mechanisms for overcoming public resistance that you asked about, voluntary adoption, targeted mandates, and function creep, are active strategies currently used to integrate other forms of digital identification. I was going to say something there, but all right. I might end with that question so we can start the next one with that same question, since time is getting close. So, let me see. Yeah. So again, let's touch on this really quickly here. Let's get to it. This is a Psalm 140 in the NLT now. All right. Psalm 140 and 1 it says, "O Lord, rescue me from evil people. Protect me from those who are violent, those who plot evil in their hearts and stir up trouble all day long. Their tongues sting like a snake. The venom of a viper drips from their lips. O Lord, keep me out of the hands of the wicked. Protect me from those who are violent, for they are plotting against me. The proud have set a trap to catch me. They have stretched out a net. They have placed traps all along the way. I said to the Lord, you are my power. Listen, O Yahweh, Baal Shem Shai, to my cries for mercy. O sovereign power, O sovereign Yahweh, Baal Shem Shai, the strong one who rescued me, you protect me on the day of battle. Lord, do not let evil people have their way. Do not let their evil schemes succeed, or they will become proud. Let my enemies be destroyed by the very evil they have planned for me. Let burning coals fall down on their heads. Let them be thrown into the fire or into watery pits from which they can't escape. Don't let liars prosper here in our land. Cause great disaster to fall on the violent. But I know the Lord will help those they persecute. He will give justice to the poor. Surely righteous people are praising your name. The godly will live in your presence. All right, so again, I hope that came to us sincere and edifying. And with that, all praise to Yahweh, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the prophets of doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. The Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.